I don't think I need to tell subscribers of my channel in particular just how good the OnePlus Open was whenever it came out, just how good it is now. OnePlus, when they delivered their first foldable phone, they delivered a product that in terms of the software was incredibly complete, in terms of the hardware was on a level that Samsung and Google simply was not approaching. They benefited dramatically from the fact that what this was a rebadge of the Oppo Find N3. This was OnePlus's first foldable, but it was Oppo's third foldable. So they got to just sort of skip ahead and just basically produce a fully, or release a fully completed, fully matured foldable device. And again, it was, for me, in terms of many, many factors, head and shoulders above what Samsung and Google was doing. Now, look, I'm still a big fan of Pixel devices, and because of that, and because of the form factor, I still leaned towards the original Pixel Fold, but I will not deny to you that in terms of best, not favorite, it was the OnePlus Open, and it probably wasn't even all that close. In fact, the following year, OnePlus did not release another foldable device. OnePlus and Oppo both took the year off, and even still, the Open could compete very, very well against what Samsung and Google did the next year. Their hardware was still superior in a lot of ways, and the software was very, very good. They managed to release Android 15 pretty quickly, really sprucing things up and adding a bunch of features. It is a phenomenal device even still today. And that's why when the leaks and rumors of a next-gen Oppo and presumably OnePlus foldable started to percolate, many of us got extremely excited. The rumors around the Oppo Find N5, which we all assumed would become the OnePlus Open 2, seemed absolutely insane. This thing was going to be the thinnest book-style foldable in the world with a giant battery and a new chipset and a camera setup. This should be more than capable. They had videos using the thing underwater. The hype was absolutely real, but unfortunately, all of that came crashing down. I began to speculate that the OnePlus Open 2 was simply not going to happen, that OnePlus would not be taking the Oppo Find N5 and rebadging it and calling it the Open 2. There were lots of reasons that pointed towards it. We won't get into those, but eventually my suspicion was confirmed. OnePlus posted a blog post on their forum saying exactly that the OnePlus Open 2 was not coming this year. And man, oh man, was that disappointing. Now, after weeks and weeks of speculating as to why they made that decision, we have some insight into what exactly happened. This initially comes from an article on Tech Radar, but I did my own write-up on ShaneCraig.tech, where we do have some quotes from Senior Product Marketing Manager for OnePlus, Rudolph Shu. He starts off by basically saying that OnePlus seems to think that releasing another foldable only makes sense if they can go beyond iterative changes. They're recognizing just how good the OnePlus Open was and still is, and basically saying, until we can produce something that is head and shoulders better than that, we're just not going to move. Let's read the quote here. In the foldable industry, the common challenge for every smartphone maker is working out how to make the phone slimmer, lighter, and the crease less visible, while also at the same time not sacrificing other key specs when you're trying to solve these challenges. We can pause here for just a second, because with the Oppo Find N5, you can argue that they did make it slimmer and lighter and the crease less visible, but they did sacrifice in some key areas like the cameras and the speakers. We'll continue. At OnePlus, we want to bring the best possible experience to the user. If you look back at the OnePlus Open, even up until today, it still has very competitive specs. It's more about a timing situation. We're thinking about how we want to solve those aforementioned challenges in a better way. That's why we decided not to launch a foldable this year. And I think that's fairly reasonable. You can still buy the OnePlus Open. It's still getting updates, and it is still awesome. Put this next to the Pixel 9 Pro Fold or my Z Fold 6, which is across the room, and it's really, really competitive. The camera is just as good. The software, you're going to have your personal preferences. Like I said, I do lean towards Pixels, but the software is very good. The battery life, the charging, it's all phenomenal. So they're basically saying, Why should we do anything right now? We still have one of the best foldables on the market with very, very few compromises. She also goes on to make the case that foldables as a whole are in a very strange place right now, a period of flux, as I wrote. Here's another quote. There's a figure that I can share that will help justify our decision. If you check the latest Counterpoint Research post, foldable shipments increased by 2.9% year over year in 2024, which was actually lower than expected. The foldable market is increasing for sure, but it will take some time for foldables to become mainstream and to really, let's say, cross the chasm and become a product for the majority of people. Now, I believe this is actually a post from Counterpoint Research that I already made. I already made a post about, and it is worth digging into. Basically, what they say is 2024 growth slowed. They're predicting that in 2025, growth will actually go backwards. There will be shrinkage of the foldable market. And then 2026, things will potentially explode with the arrival of an Apple foldable. So basically, what OnePlus is saying here, or this person from OnePlus is saying here, is we're just going to kind of wait. 2025 looks a little shaky when it comes to the foldable market, and there are reasons that Counterpoint Research did not touch on why foldable phones, premium expensive phones in general, they might see a bit of a downturn in 2025, and hopefully that foldable phone segment expands dramatically in 2026 as Apple releases their device, which does nothing but legitimize, it solidifies, and it expands that folding phone market. They'll ship a OnePlus Open 2 then when that market is expanding and more customers than ever will be looking to buy foldable phones as a gigantic spotlight bigger than ever is shined on those devices because of Apple. Another strategy that I think makes sense. All of this points to a scenario where OnePlus is just not going to shoot their shot until the timing is right and until their hardware is worth doing something with. Think back to when the OnePlus Open launched. It was the third Oppo foldable. There was a Find N, Find N2, and then a Find N3, and that was the one that they said, we will rebadge and ship that one. It is not that crazy at all to imagine OnePlus saying, the Find N5 is just not enough of a difference. Maybe the Find N6 isn't enough of a difference either. Maybe they wait another 3 generations and say, yep, that's the one we're going to ship. And then once again, they leapfrog ahead of Google and Samsung. Again, that does not seem that crazy to me because it's how they started off with foldables to begin with. They didn't jump in on the first one. They waited until it was at a certain level of greatness, and then they said, yep, that's the one that we're going to ship. It seems like maybe they're just doing that again. Guys, if you want to see the written version of this article, I will put a link to that in the description down below. If you want to help support this channel in a more direct way and help make me a little bit less dependent on ad revenue, click that join button down below. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.